welcome back to the show, Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich. It's great to have you back on, sir. We've got Republicans. They were touring a stretch of the border to see how farmers and ranchers and law enforcement are dealing with truly a border war with the human traffickers and drug cartels. They're calling out the president and vice president for still not visiting the border crisis they created. What do you say to this story?
Well, thank you for having me on again, Liz. And it's quite frankly as simple as this. Think about it. If 100,000 people had died as a result of a tornado or a hurricane, do you not think the president or vice president would be there to offer hope and see the damage that was wrought? Well, they created this disaster at our southern border. More than 100,000 people have died just this last year as a result. Cartel seize control of our border. This is a man-made catastrophe, and yet the Biden administration continues to ignore it. And that's why it is going to continue to get worse until the Biden administration does something. And that's why, Liz, I continue to sue them in federal court. I keep trying to draw attention to this issue because this is undermining the safety of not only everyone here in Arizona, but everyone across this country.
Yeah, every state is a border state, right? And Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez is saying, it's important for everybody, if you're a legislator or a lawmaker or a vice president or president, to go to the border so you see what's going on and when you're going to be doing any border security bills coming up for discussion. But talk to us about this. We're hearing that the Texas National Guard, the Border Patrol, there's low morale, there's problems with retention. They're getting sick from COVID-19. And so there's also a problem of them not getting paid on time. Can you break this down for us?
Yeah, it is actually demoralizing, not only to people in law enforcement, but even the prosecutors like myself that have tried to work so hard for years to keep our community safe. Because the Biden administration did allow the cartels to seize operational control of our southern border. When President Biden was elected, there were many of us that were worried he wanted to abolish ICE. But the reality is not only is he abolishing ICE, but he's essentially destroying our whole southern border. And as a result of that, the brave men and women in law enforcement are completely demoralized. And that means that our communities are going to be less safe and more people will continue to flood into our country and they can't do their jobs effectively. And as you just said, this is not just an Arizona problem or a Texas problem. This is a national problem. We're seeing a record amount of fentanyl come into this country. We see the price of fentanyl falling not only in Arizona, but in other places because there is so much supply. And that means that people are going to die and that our communities are going to be impacted as a result of those social costs associated with drug addiction and drug crimes.
They don't get enough of a shout out for the good work they're doing, the Border Patrol, right? And our National Guard at the border. I mean, this is sort of the same thing we see with defund the police. The morale of our police officers have plummeted. We understand the need to do reform for any police brutality. And, we understand what's going on at the border. But your point's well taken that if there's a natural disaster, the president shows up. He's never been there. He went to El Paso, which is miles away, and he went there in 2008 before he was vice president. He hasn't been there since.
Liz, I've invited President Biden and Vice President Harris, who used to be an state attorney general, to come visit the border, to come meet with us, to come talk with us, and they have refused to do so. And furthermore, you have people like Cartel Kelly in the U.S. Senate that refuse to address this issue. I know when I'm in the Senate, I will not vote on any bill, any legislation, or any judge until we solve this problem on their southern border, because this really is a national security issue. And shame on the Biden administration for basically leaving law enforcement hanging out to dry. And at the end of the day, Liz, think about this, is that whether it's defunding the police, whether it's releasing criminals back into our communities, or now ceding control of our southern border to the cartels, the left, the far left, or whoever's talking to Joe Biden's earpiece is hell-bent on undermining all of our safety and security in this country.
Okay. Well, what do you make of this? Democrat Congresswoman Veronica Escobar has called Texas Governor Greg Abbott's Operation Lone Star to protect the border a political stunt. What do you make of that? We're now showing images of the cartels in military gear and camouflage military uniforms. What do you make of the Congresswoman Escobar's comments? Final word?
Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but not their own facts. And as a fact, we have a record amount of fentanyl coming into this country. We have millions of people illegally crossing this country, which is going to have an impact on all of our communities. And so the reality is we should be doing everything we can to keep hardworking American taxpayers safe.
Attorney General Mark Brnovich, thanks for joining us. Come back soon. I'm Elizabeth MacDonald.